I'm LaRie.
And I'm Nick B.
Listen, we're just two single girls from the City of Roses discussing all things love, lust, and perception.
And roses are a symbol of all things beautiful about love.
But as you know, love can get a little dirty, so we're here to talk about it.
Dirty Roses Podcast starts now.
Hey, I'm LaRie.
And I'm Nick B.
And welcome to Dirty Roses Podcast. Today, we are talking about something that I couldn't maintain.
I've never been able to get to.
I mean, I did for a few years.
Still never been able to get to.
We're trying.
Okay.
We're trying to get you there.
Thank you.
Yeah, we got to find some. We'll mention the guy that we're looking for you later in the season.
Yes, we will.
Yes. Okay. Anywho, we have some amazing guests in the studio today that can tell us all about what to do right.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I'm doing a talk show. What we can do today. Our friends Mori and Stephen Holt are joining us today to talk about how to maintain a successful marriage. And I've known Mori since middle school, going to her soccer games, sitting on the sidelines, getting bug bites in the grass while she kicked balls around. And kicking balls has got her a marriage. It's good.
There we go.
But Nick B, you also know her, and you guys grew up with acronyms and best friend groups and all kinds of stuff.
We did. So we actually met at the same time period, which is middle school.
Okay.
Although I was not at the soccer games. Never made one, not one. I believe you're an amazing player. I've heard outstanding things. I understand those awards. You've been printed in papers. I recognize your strengths. I was not at those games. However, what I was at,
friend. Okay,
right,
go ahead.
what I was at were the sleepovers, the late night runs to get eggs from neighbors because we tried to make desserts like cookies.
Oh, was she the one that made the...
No, I don't know if I told you the story about the time that we went out to get eggs and it was nighttime. I think I tripped over a curb and I landed in the street because we heard dogs barking. And I was like, go on without me. It was, but we've got stories. We've known each other for years.
Yeah.
And I love it. So we are so beyond happy to have both of you on our show.
Yeah.
Drop some nuggets.
I'm
Closer to 30 years than 20. It feels so long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It has.
We're old. Thank you for the reminder.
Oh.
Thank you for the reminder. I feel really old. I got told I had a shiny forehead today, and now I'm old.
Well, I was told I'm reflective.
We all yes. This is the life of us right now.
So light skin privilege is not always a good thing.
Right. I was single.
Yeah, take the good with the bad, okay?
Take it how it comes.
I love it. But, we start every episode with a story, a scenario. And since we're talking about having a successful marriage, I can talk about how mine was.
Opposite.
That's kind of the story. Boom, bat, bam. That's it. I was married for, 15, 16 years, together with the same person for 21. Thought I was doing everything right. Realized I wasn't, or maybe we weren't together collectively. I won't say it was just me, obviously. I don't take the blame for anything in this marriage. It wasn't my fault. But yeah, that's kind of the story. I mean, it's been the theme for us starting this show. It was like I was recently divorced at some point. Now I'm full-fledged single, and now we're trying to help Nicole get Nick B.
I'm just saying, if I could just maybe get to a committed relationship and then start talking about the rest.
She just needs that stepping stone. Like, how do I get there?
So my first question, how did you guys meet?
Yeah.
Maybe I'm not meeting my man in the right place. Where'd y'all meet?
Good old-fashioned church.
That's where. Listen, I have not been on ChristianMingle.com yet.
She didn't say Christian Mingle. She said,
I'm gonna get close to church, if I'm not in the church. But I've been doing
how are you going to get on Christian Mingle if you have not been to the church? You got to go to Catholic Mingle.
CCM.com.
I'm going to meet you at Friday Mass.
Okay. So, yes, Mass. So you guys met at church.
We met at church when I moved back to the Northwest.
Okay.
I was leaving and trying to get away from relationships that I didn't need to be part of anymore. Called my dad, said, come get me. And my dada, being my dada, came and got me. Broke my lease on my apartment, got my job to transfer me, and moved back up to Portland. And at that time, Steve's parents were the head pastors of a church, and my parents were assistant pastors at the church.
Oh, so y'all both PKs.
Yes. Okay. So I
Preacher's kids, for those of y'all that aren't
familiar with the lingo. So I started going to church with my parents, and that is how we...
Who approached who?
technically I approached her first.
Okay, but you say technically. So what
Yeah.
is the technicality, and then what is the
Actuality.
actuality?
Technicality was hinged upon German chocolate cake.
Wait, say what about some chocolate cake?
No, we food.
My grandmother makes a phenomenal German chocolate cake, and she had promised to make one. And in conversation post-church, Mori heard it and was like, well, I want a slice. I want a piece. And her and my grandmother had developed a relationship. So they're hanging out, talking, interacting quite a bit.
So hey, grandma had an agenda.
I was.
She's like, I'm gonna get this chocolate.
She
cake
said
for
the
this
way
girl for my
to.
grandbaby.
She said a way to a woman is through her stomach, not the
But
man.
You just have to understand, Gigi, his grandmother is like amazing. Like she's the type of person that you want to hang out with, not like on some, oh, like this is my good deed that I'm doing. Like, no, like we're talking for hours and cackling about stuff. And she's telling me stories about her life and, like enjoying her company.
Yeah.
One of the funniest people we know.
Yeah, she's hilarious.
Amazing.
She's amazing. And she's still amazing. And how Gigi is in her upper 80s.
Wow.
And she's
That's
still
delicious.
sharp and hilarious.
Yes.
Amazing.
I want goals. I want to be like
I know. So now to find a man, we got to find a Gigi, and we got to find German chocolate cake, and then the church.
noted.
Growing list. A growing list.
So technically, grandma is really Gigi is where it started.
Yes.
By
So
okay.
I got the German chocolate cake, promised to share a slice, and I didn't have her number. So I asked her dad for her number.
He did. He got my phone number from my father.
This is like we've been doing it wrong our entire lives.
We didn't all.
Ain't nobody talked to my dad about shit. Oh God, I feel really sad in life.
After that, we had a 72-hour conversation.
Wait.
What? Okay, explain.
Via text, like we just
Okay.
were texting back and forth for 72 hours straight. I don't think there was, like, we weren't really sleeping because there was never more than like 90 minutes between a text. Like we just were talking about
What were you guys talking about?
everything. Who knows? And it's like when you're young and you're like, what were we on the phone about all night long? Like, who knows? Who knows why we were on the phone? or what we were
Right,
talking
but it was a
about,
good
but
conversation.
We just wanted to keep talking to each other.
I love
Had a lot in
it.
common, same favorite color, same kind of like, same kind of preferences. So a very intriguing, engaging conversation.
So, because you guys were kind of like so intentional and so quick with how you guys kind of started chatting, was it like almost like an instant connection of like, kind of like we're dating now, or how did that like transition?
Oh, small fact that has been left out.
Oh.
He has a girlfriend at this time.
What? No, you don't be sharing chocolate cakes when you got a whole woman. Look, congratulations. Flag on the play.
For those of y'all that are listening, hold on, because the way that
She's gonna
he's
be a real romantic, like,
no, we need this. Gigi said, "I don't bump that chick.
right. She said, we don't like
I don't
her.
like her.
We'll lead her in the
We need this one."
All right, give the cake to this.
Let's
Gigi
keep it like
knows.
they didn't like her.
That's true.
His family didn't like her.
And his demeanor is like, "Yo, facts. That's what happened."
She was like the high school sweetheart. They had been together for 6 years or something. Long time, many years at this point.
And the whole family just wasn't, they knew that she wasn't quite the one for you.
Was it because you got together with her so young, or was there actual reasons? I don't want to dog her out, but is there reasons?
Yeah, there are reasons.
Yeah. I mean, usually they're, that makes sense. It
Makes sense. Right.
And you have to understand, like PKs, right? We go to church all the time.
Right.
And we're used to that. We
Right.
grow up that way. And I was going to church. I had never seen her. She didn't come.
Oh.
So she wasn't around. He was very involved. She was
Gotcha.
never around. So I was,
So she wasn't immersed in the same lifestyle as him.
Gotcha. Which left a wide open door for chocolate cake, man. Did y'all feed each other the chocolate cake?
Was it romantic?
No. So like Lady and the Tramp, but with cake.
Right. Were the forks or just fingers?
no, none of that. None of that.
But so, okay, so with that being said then, so you guys probably kind of started off as like a flirty friendship, or how did this transition?
Where was your girlfriend during them 72 hours?
I'm not concerned. Not concerned. That's probably why. That's the reason. She wasn't worried about him.
Yeah, I would say a
He's a yes.
flirty friendship is a good way to describe it, because it's not like we didn't like start sleeping together. or
Right,
anything
right.
Like that. Like it was just like, okay, we see each other a lot at church, and then we talked a lot.
Right.
When we started spending some time together, but talking a lot about we talked a lot about God. We talked a lot about where we saw our futures and what that looked like. And so in my mind, I was kind of like, oh wow, this person, like,
This is getting deep.
yeah, I'm having different conversations than I've had with other, men. Now, Steve's also younger than me.
Oh.
And so yeah, exactly. And I was like, why am I having more mature conversations and more forward and future,
Right.
oriented conversations with this younger person?
How much younger?
2.5 years.
Oh, that's not too bad.
Yeah, it's not bad at all.
My previous relationship, he was 10 years older than me. And so the switch it felt like a big
Got you.
shift.
Understood. Yep.
Yeah.
So like then our 11s and 12-year difference is
15.
15 for you. Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
this is why we're single.
Mm-hmm.
Got it. So when y'all decided to start dating, who made the decision that y'all wanted to be exclusive first? Like, who was like, it's just us? Well, when you got rid of the other person.
I'll tell you, there's so many things that happened in the years between that 72-hour conversation
It's years.
and a child and the exclusivity
Okay.
situation. And yeah, in there I got pregnant. We got pregnant.
Sure.
The ex-girlfriend by that time he had broken up.
Okay. Gotcha.
The girlfriend, but she kind of came back around, and there was a lot
As
of
they do.
drama. Yeah,
Right.
there was a lot of drama and back and forth, and what's gonna happen. And you have to also remember, like I said in the beginning, his parents were the pastors, my parents were the pastors.
Right.
I'm pregnant.
What did Gigi have to say about this?
Yeah. What was the conversation in the households after that?
Gigi was supportive and understanding.
Gigi's just cool as hell, ain't she? Just dope.
She was, and our relationship got kind of messed with a little bit during that time. Like our part of our story is how our parents dealt with the pregnancy and dealt with our relationship dynamic at that time. With, we weren't together at the time that I got pregnant, and so we were obviously seeing each other, but we weren't in a committed relationship. And then right before I found out I was pregnant, that's when the ex-girlfriend came back around. And my personality is such that, like, oh, she's back around, go do that. And not even with an attitude, just go do that. Like, you're not gonna do both, so go, you can go, go do that. And then the next week, I was like,
I guess
Oh, so you didn't know?
no.
Oh, gotcha.
I didn't know I was pregnant when I told him to go do that. And then we found out I was pregnant, but I already told him to go do that.
Wait, so did you go do that?
I tried.
Yeah.
Okay.
But then he found out he was expecting, so he stopped wanting to do that.
No, that's not what happened.
That's not so.
Don't be putting stories in
I'm trying to understand. I'm trying to understand if he wanted to go do that and then had to stop going and do that.
Not immediately. Okay. It took some time. Like, the pregnancy was really, dramatic and a lot of back and forth with that girl. But ultimately, Nicole, it was actually your birthday party. So after I have Cameron, our oldest, in June, at the end of June.
Okay.
Throughout the pregnancy, he was really great during the pregnancy as far as being supportive. Like, he went to every doctor appointment. Like, he was, really invested and involved. We were just we were trying to figure out us. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so my first time being out of the house after having our daughter, we went to Nicole's birthday.
Which one was this? My 30th?
the sunglass
No,
party?
sunglass. It wasn't your 30th because it had to be your 28th.
Okay.
It was your 28th birthday because I was 27 when I had Cam, and you turned 28 before me.
Oh, it's been that long.
Yeah, I do turn 28 before you.
So just in the school year. So after that party, we were sitting in the car, and I'm like, just tell me the truth. I tell him. We had gone to the party. We went to your party together. And I said, just tell me the truth. Are you still messing with that girl, your ex? And you just need to tell me the truth. And he said, yep, I am.
Damn.
Then I started yelling and cussing. And you guys have to understand, Steve is the most patient and calm person in the world.
We can tell.
I yelled and I cussed, and then when I was done, out of breath,
Well, that's for the
yeah, he was like, "This isn't the best way to communicate."
There's got to be a better way.
This isn't working for me.
And so I'm like, I just gave him like all of my,
She just had to unload.
and then he was just like, "This isn't the best."
Give him all your energy, and he's like, "Listen, it's not working for me."
Yeah. But that conversation changed a lot for us. Like, we spent a little time like not talking. And then, we had the kind of come to Jesus talk with the ex-girlfriend. He's like, "I'm done with it." And I was like, "Oh, we're all going to talk together."
Right. We want to make sure that
So that we're all
on the same page.
A conference call, a little speakerphone call in my car, baby in the back seat.
Not that you guys all broke up together, though, as a family.
I just wanted to make sure, again, we were all on the same page.
All three of us in this car are breaking up with you on the other end of this line.
Yes, don't call, don't reach out. Listen, and we were doing that not even so he and I could be together, just so we could function as co-parents. She couldn't even be in the picture if he was going to parent. She had said some stuff about wishing my baby dead and all that kind of stuff.
Oh my.
Yeah, exactly. So I was like, she got to be out of the picture all together.
Ill feelings towards her.
Just I don't like her.
I don't like her either. I was trying to like protect her on her own platform for who she is and the part she played, but now she can go kick rocks.
Oh, scallywag.
My
Gigi knew what was best.
Gigi knew her heart.
Yep, all of that. So
The situation kind of ended it for me because she ran into some individuals. Because at the time, our ministry was doing Saturday Night Live.
oh,
A young adult ministry that was booming and blossoming. And Coles knows about it. We used to do it.
I love
Saturday
that.
night.
oh,
And it was a phenomenal service. We had over 100 young adults
oh
in
wow.
the household.
I think we did that back in. Is it still going?
Not anymore.
I think y'all need to bring it back, just to be on the safe side.
Yeah, we probably should. But she had engaged with some people who are mutual friends of ours at
Okay.
a birthday party and essentially lied on things that I said
Oh no.
about our relationship and then said things about wanting to be engaged with my child, but then went in front of these individuals and said the opposite.
Oh, gotcha.
So I had confronted her about it and she came clean. I was like, I can't do that.
He didn't believe me when I told him she was lying.
You got to
but,
get somebody else. Because at this point, you're just the hater that wants in. You just want to sabotage their shit.
Yeah. Get a
Oh,
paternity
God.
test. Make sure that shit baby.
Oh, my goodness.
Get out of here.
I would swab them like they did on that show.
Yeah.
So now that we've gotten out the ex-girlfriend's out the way, you guys have kind of established that you want to work on your communication techniques and all those things, right? How'd the proposal happen?
Yeah. We decided we're going to co-parent. We gave ourselves, he said, like, let's try to make it work. And I was like, No, honestly, I was like, we have a big hole. I was like, where people have a foundation, they start building. Where our foundation will be, we have this big hole from all this stuff with it.
Right.
I said, so you would have to spend all this time filling in the hole first before we can even have a foundation. And to his credit, he really did. He dealt with whatever my irrational things were about, what you have to do to prove that,
Right.
but he dealt with it. And he did all the work to refill that foundation. A few months after that, we decided to be exclusive. On the day we decided to be exclusive, I told him, I don't date for more than 2 years without a proposal. I said, so I'm not going to give you a hard time and harass you for the next 2 years. I'm not. But if there's not a ring on my finger, then 2 years and 1 day, just know we're not together anymore.
So I love that you communicated your expectations up front. And I think a lot of people are missing that, especially those that have been dating their significant for a long period of time, hoping that at some point there's a turn in the relationship, but they've never laid it out what their expectations is, where they want
opportunity to be like, man, that's not what I'm doing.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I said, if you don't know by 2 years, then you do know.
Oh.
You know what I'm saying?
You used to say a long yes is a no. I remember if somebody would ask you a question and you're like, Yeah, that's a no. I remember that. She used to say a long yes is a no.
That is very good. I like that. We're going to trademark that.
Yeah, that in the German chocolate cake. German chocolate cake.
I just don't, no need to play games.
Right.
And my thought was, I'm not giving up all my young years. I'm not giving up all my young years for someone to tell me 6 years into it that, it's not me. And then they get with somebody else and marry them, in 6 months.
Right.
That's how it happens to a lot of
It
people.
does. It does.
So I just said, I'm not gonna pound you about it, but just so you know where I'm at.
So, Steven, what did that look like for you? How did that feel?
How'd you receive that?
Yeah.
For me, it just gave me clear understanding of where her mindset was. And it allowed me to focus in on, why am I in this relationship? Am I doing it for the sake of our child?
Mm-hmm.
Or am I doing it for the sake of our longevity?
Okay.
So I had to wrestle with those facts and come to a conclusion and be serious about, I'm doing this for our longevity.
Okay.
The truth is, at some point, our then baby is now 13. So she's 5 years potentially away from leaving the house.
Right.
We're still going to be in a relationship when she's gone.
Right.
And so I had to consider long term, am I doing this for the sake of saving face, looking like a good kid, looking like the pastor's son who did the right thing, all the things that come with being in that world and that realm and what people expect you to function and say and operate, because it looked great on paper.
Right.
But I didn't want to be in something that was crumbling in the background. And so I had to evaluate, all right, am I going to want to be connected to her for the rest of my days?
Now, both of you come each from two-parent households. Did either of you ever envision yourselves not married? So was marriage something always on the forefront in the first place? Because I can imagine that if someone were to come to me with very specific plans of what they wanted, that it could be intimidating to say, am I even ready to meet this person's expectations? But did it help that you two both came from examples of marriage to know that that's exactly what you wanted?
There was never a question, I don't think, for either of us that we intended to be married people, whether or not it was to each other, that again, that early 72-hour conversation of realizing all the things we had in common. Goals for our future families were some of those things that we had in common. So absolutely. And yeah, having parents who were doing it and, it definitely can't hurt.
Yeah.
Right. I was going to ask, what were your examples? So it's like Nick B said that you guys both came from two-parent homes. So did they exhibit healthy ways of arguing and having communications? What were the examples that they set that kind of shaped how you guys marriage?
I would say definitely we both taken things from, I didn't really see my parents argue.
I never saw them argue either.
And she spent a lot of time in our home.
I was going to say,
I mean, I know it's common for people to when you have guests and company over to save face
but you can always feel an
but
energy.
You can feel energy.
Yeah.
To this day, I still call her parents mom and dad, even if I haven't seen them in forever, because they exuded parenthood, they exuded unit. Yeah. And it's something you can feel, even if it's not said.
Right.
It just wasn't their tone. I've never heard my father raise his voice at my mother. Mm-hmm. It just wasn't, we were going to have peace in our house.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it was genuine. There wasn't, like you said, underlying tension or resentment or little snide remarks and stuff like that. It wasn't, and it also takes my expectation. I have never been in a relationship with someone who's raised their voice at me.
You're the yeller.
Only that one time. That was the only time that ever happened.
Oh,
that's why.
We should blame the pregnancy.
Yeah, right. Well, I just had a baby, and he just told me he'd been sleeping with this girl. Okay, so I was legitimately upset, but that was the only time. I've never cussed at him since. I've never screamed at that's not our. We don't.
I love it. I love it. And what about you, Steven? So how did your parents communicate and exhibit and showcase their love?
Very similarly, they dealt with their issues behind closed doors.
Okay.
And so one of the things I learned from my father later is he committed to my mom that what they would commit to do is present a unified front. And so whatever inner workings, challenges, trials they were going through as a couple, we didn't know as a kid. And I didn't know a lot until I got older. And I find out, oh, you guys really did have issues.
Right.
But from our perspective, looked like a cohesive unit, partly because you were leading people. And so as pastors, you can't have your stuff all on the street.
That makes sense, but do you feel like that created like a disservice for you to understand how to have conversations that are difficult with the partner because you didn't witness it as a child? Or did it just was like, I know how to have conversations because I know how to communicate and we're going to do it behind closed doors?
It didn't create a challenge for me personally. It may have for my siblings, I'm not sure.
Okay.
I'd have to ask them.
Gotcha.
But it just, for me, in my mind, you dealt with your issues in-house. And that was the perspective.
I think his dad is also a really communicative person. So as they got older, I know him and his brother, like he was having talks with them like, okay, now you're old enough to know, hey, these are some of the things that we dealt with. And this is how we got through that. And this is what I had to do to fix this. And, you know, and his dad was a very hands-on parent.
Okay.
He's very engaged. You know, he was the one who like helped with homework and like, you know, was at all the kids' games and da. And he's like that as a grandfather too, to a large extent. But that makes Steve that kind of dad.
Got you.
Right.
Okay.
And so it helps.
How do you manage disagreements in front of your children today?
Primarily, we'll talk about it after the moment. There is a unwritten communication, so I can see it in our body language and in our face,
You've learned her.
that if there's a way that I've responded or interacted with a child that she disapproves of, it's visibly seen, and then we can talk about it later. And she doesn't undermine me or undercut me in front of the kids.
Yeah.
But we definitely talk about it later.
Are you two the parents that is always saying, go ask your dad, and then they ask the dad, and the dad says, go ask your mom?
Well, for most things, they'll come to me first because I'm nicer in a lot of ways. But for certain things, they'll go to him first. If they want to go somewhere, they're going to go to dad first because mom ain't going. I'm not going. I'm not going.
She's being a lady of leisure, I think.
Exactly. Exactly. I'm in my soft girl era.
Do not interrupt my free time. I'm doing nothing. You're interrupting. Yeah.
I'm doing nothing. So they want to go to 7-Eleven or go to the mall. And my youngest daughter is obsessed with going to the mall to go to Claire's.
I love that though. But isn't she of the age to be doing that?
She's 8. She's 8. My 13-year-old is not the one. My 13-year-old just goes to basketball practice. That's all.
These kids, this generation are different. I mean, I feel like we was in the streets, not like in a bad way, but we getting eggs.
But we were catching the bus. We were 70 to
We're in a very different time.
Yeah.
I remember catching the bus in middle school, having a transfer bus.
Yep.
I caught 2 to go to the school outside of my district. And did the same thing going home.
Yeah.
We had no cell phones to
check in.
Right, none of that.
We had street lights and sundown.
But it was just like we knew to do the right thing.
Right.
Yeah.
And we weren't getting, in
Right.
trouble along the way. I don't know how that happened, but it did.
We did.
So it's media and social media. I swear it has.
Yeah.
But I do want to know, we talked about this in the first season of our podcast about things that should be discussed early on. So what were some things that you guys discussed prior to getting married that helped set the tone for your future?
I would say a big one was conflict resolution. We had a formula that the way we would deal with problems and situations, doesn't matter what it was. This is what we agreed to approach it as. We have a statement on the same page in the same book. You can be on the same page, but if you're on Home and Life magazine, I'm reading the sports card magazine, it's not helpful.
Right.
So we're on the same page, but we're talking 2 different languages.
Gotcha.
And so we just committed to being on the same page in the same book and approach every situation together instead of
Us 2 against the problem, not us 2 against each other.
Ooh, I like that.
Because you're fighting your spouse to be right. Like, no, we need to team up against the problem. And then everyone wins. When we win, we've won.
Right.
And no one has to be a loser. When you're fighting against somebody, someone has to take the L, right?
Mm-hmm.
And no one's going to want to continually take L.
Right.
and you don't feel good afterwards if you just lost. It's like, well, we're both athletes. We were both
Competitive.
yeah. So we don't want to lose.
Right.
So if we're on the same team, we can always win.
Okay. I like
I
that.
do too. How do you guys keep your romance going? Because you've been married how many years?
10.
You guys are a decade in, a whole dying piece. And what do you guys do to ensure that you still have date nights, or that there's still that
Spark.
you as a couple rather than you as some parents
Yeah.
trying to maintain a house? Like, what do you do for yourselves?
We spend time together. We talked about it, just our 10-year anniversary that happened a few months ago. And every time we spend time together, we're reminded the kids are the problem. Yeah.
So when you tackle a problem together, you against the kids.
I'm against the kids, man. Just in that, like, when you start to feel distance, or and it can get into we're two life managers, like, right, like we're business managers running this house,
Right.
especially like with our kids and the things they're involved in. Like I told you, my 13-year-old, she just got into like AAU basketball. We're busy. Yeah, I was in the gym 20 hours a week all summer.
Yeah.
Like, and like, I'm like, that's a whole part-time job.
It is.
And even now she has practice 3 evenings a week. So Steve gets home from work. I try to get everybody to eat dinner, and then she and I leave. By the time we get home from practice, he's in bed.
What was that meme that said, my kid's in sports, so we eat dinner at 4:30 or 9?
Yeah, it's exactly
real
true.
life.
Exactly true. So we try to do it earlier. So he stays home with the younger kids, so that they can get in bed on time.
Gotcha.
We get home by like 9, and he goes to bed like 8:45.
That's how he keeps his sanity and his calm demeanor.
He gets up very early. He's a very disciplined person. He gets up very early. He spends an hour in prayer, and then is at work by like 5:45.
10-minute meditation isn't cutting it. I need to commit an hour.
You need to numb your
Pre-work.
a little bit longer.
Right.
I do want. Okay, so let's light it up. I want to know, what is the most annoying thing about your spouse?
You go first.
Like, how you answer.
response. Watch, let's just say.
I would say there are specific annoying things, but there are habits that I have that she does not have.
Oh, like what?
So when she makes dinner in the kitchen, it looks like a tornado.
Oh, you're not a cleaner while you cook her?
I can't. I gotta
I
clean.
hate it. I do
For
too.
me, I like to organize and clean as I'm going, so that way when I'm done, I'm done. She doesn't do that. Also, she'll grab stuff, glasses, she'll use it for one drink, and then she'll go get a new one.
It's something different in the cup. I can't have the remnants mixing.
The remnants can rinse it
Listen,
out.
I have a friend whose daughter does that, gets a new cup for everything, and so she started doing paper cups. She's like, we gonna wash that paper cup out because you need to use it again. No, we're not wasting more. Yeah.
I had a phase where we wrote names.
Towels as well.
Oh, gosh.
Oh,
Towels, one use. Here's the thing.
It's a lot of laundry.
Here's the thing.
but she's
How do you know no one has defiled your towel between the uses? When you hung it on that rack, how do you know nobody did nothing to
You know
it?
what
I
though?
have kids, so
I was gonna say I feel that because I take my towel to my room. I keep all of my bath products in my room because I need to carry it back and forth because my kids, they are the ones that will drop a towel, drag it on the floor, then put it back like they didn't do nothing.
use it with the
Dry
dog.
their
Undercarriage.
You know what I'm saying? And here's the thing. I trust him with my life, but I do not trust him with my towel. And therefore,
New towel
new towel.
every day.
Mm.
So we know exactly what to get you for birthday gifts, anniversary gifts, just more towel sets because
And some laundry soap.
and some laundry stuff because we've gone through that stuff quickly in their house.
I get it. Mori, what about you? Oh, Lord.
Listening to him chew, and he's gotten better at it recently. But he used to do the thing where like he's watching something on his phone and his phone is on full volume. Oh, why are you doing that?
Oh God.
Why are you doing that?
Earbuds in.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's a personal moment. You're ruining life for everyone else. I also found out recently that I have some ADD, and that's so like the conflicting noise. I would be
I
like,
don't know where to focus.
yeah, I'd be so angry.
I'm like that with subtext on televisions. Like, are we reading it or watching it?
Oh my
I don't
God.
want to do
I
both.
can't do
I
both.
can't. I cannot watch something as subtext is going on.
Because you end up reading it.
Yeah. And then I miss what they're actually doing.
For
Oh,
sure.
it makes me so
Oh
mad.
God.
For sure.
You know, have you done the blind one where they narrate what's happening while they have a narr? So
They were like,
Well,
she
she
sits
walks in the
down.
room.
yeah, yeah, exactly.
No, that
Makes
would drive me
angry
nuts.
face. And you're like, and then I always wonder if a person has been born blind, what do they know what an angry face looks like?
Ooh.
Right?
Oh.
You know what I'm saying?
So then for a blind person, they should say has anger emotions. Because we can feel it.
can feel
We
it.
don't know what it looks like if we're blind, right?
I don't know.
We get a blind guest.
I can close both my eyes.
But we already know what it was before we
Yeah,
touched them.
you already have a reference.
I have a reference. Yeah, that's interesting. But yeah, okay. All right. So on the contrary, what was the most romantic thing that your spouse has done for you?
Recently, it was my 38th birthday, so
Oh.
You don't.
That was 2 days ago.
What
So
did
what
she
was
do?
it?
she asked if she could plan today. I said sure. So we went for a walk due to my lifestyle change, which I appreciated. Came back and we had breakfast, hung out for a little bit, and she had purchased a cake and a present so we could celebrate with the kids when they got home from school.
Mm-hmm.
And then she surprised me with dinner at Illini in a hotel room.
Oh, so that was
We were like birthday on a budget. So hear me
I
out.
love
So
it.
like,
It's the planning.
But the fact
Yeah.
that they said that was the most romantic thing, it's like the simplicity
the
of it was
thought.
so thoughtful. Yeah.
I like cooked breakfast because, you know, it's one thing to be able to go out and spend money on everything.
Did you clean while you cooked for his birthday?
Here, okay, let's clear something up. Let's clear
She said,
something up.
clarify.
it's your birthday, but can you do the dishes?
He does the dishes every day.
Oh,
All the days of the 10 years.
really?
All the dishes.
All the days.
Every day. It was actually in our wedding vows that he would do the dishes.
So first of all, we're going to start embedding the needs into our wedding vows.
I mean, but how many wedding vows do we plan to have?
I will need a couple vows.
A list?
Like, I just need a few minutes to run some things down.
Because I've had some years of what I don't want to let you know what I
said
do
this
want.
in front of God, therefore it is valid for the rest of your life.
And he has stuck to it. I would give him that. He has stuck to it. And there have been some things that I said I would do in our marriage that I have not stuck to. But he has stuck with those dishes. And I hate doing the dishes. It makes me want to gag. And so I appreciate that about him. I told him we could keep having kids until I was 35, like as many kids as we had.
Mm-hmm.
Because we had our daughter, and then we didn't want to have more kids till we got married. So we got married. We got pregnant on our honeymoon.
Oh,
So it was my son Jace, and then
put down.
when he was 3.5 months old, I was pregnant again.
Oh boy.
With Brielle. I was like, hold up,
I know. I
flag on the plane. Yeah, exactly.
Shoot up. Leave
What
tell.
happened with these hormones?
What they say,
is-
renege. I had to renege on.
Aboard this plane.
Yeah,
Okay.
because it was happening too fast. Like, we'll just stay pregnant. Oh, we get pregnant real easily. So, I mean, I know that's a blessing, and some people really struggle with, but it's also
Expensive.
it's expensive.
Yeah.
It's exhausting. I had a really tough time after our third. Those like the next few years were really, really rough on me.
Your last one, were you 35 and under, or was it over 35?
I was still under 35. I had Bree when I was 32.
Okay.
But Jace was only a year old, so they're only 13 months apart.
Okay.
And so I by that time I had left my job and I was at home all day with 2 kids. He was working really odd schedules, long hours, and I was on a 3rd floor apartment. So I
Carry the baby.
so I couldn't get down because I had 2 people who couldn't walk. Couldn't walk down 3 flights of concrete stairs.
You were quarantined before quarantine happened.
I was, and it was a
Oh,
dark time. But I was like, yeah, we're definitely not having any more kids.
understood. I get it. So what was the most romantic thing that he's done for you?
Oh, there's so many.
The face lights up. Subtitles for those who are listening, not watching. Mori references her husband, and her face lights up.
There's been so many throughout the years, and honestly, I could say some of the grander romantic gestures, with wine and rose petals and all that kind of stuff. But to me, the most romantic thing he does is listens to me. Like, he hears me when I talk to him, and it can be something kind of mentioned in passing. I said I wanted to take dance lessons because I wanted to be the old couple on the cruise who had like a routine and like could really like, that's how
Doing the Tamia dance together.
Right.
Oh.
I was like, I want, and like little matching outfits when we get old. Like, I want us to be like that. And so for Mother's Day, one year, he got us dance lessons. And so we went and did dance lessons. Or if I'm having a bad day and I'm like in a mood and he senses that there's nothing he can say that's going to fix it, but he'll turn on some music and he'll stand me up and he'll dance with me in our house, wherever we are. And it just makes me feel seen. And like he understands. And yeah, and instead of getting an attitude as well, you know what I mean? Like,
Right,
like,
right.
you got attitude, I can have attitude.
Right.
You know, he works in the opposite direction and tries to.
Well, listen, if y'all ever need some additional romance, let me just tell you real quick about these candles that we got here.
That part.
So,
Light 'em up.
Right. So what we have for those that are listening and those that are watching we got some great candles called Scent to Be.
Yeah.
And do you want to tell us a little bit more about these candles and
So one of our really good friends also went to middle school with, started a business, and she makes candles. She also makes wax melt. She makes room sprays. She's working on carpet deodorizer. But these are some of the most amazing scents that I have ever smelled in my life. They're the best candles. They smell without even being lit.
Yeah.
And they're really dope. So you can go to scenttobeCandles.com. You can order online. She has all of her product line. She's got tons of fragrances. You can do the seasonal blends and all those things. She even does custom stuff. So when we did our mail review a while back, she made us some naughty wax melts that were shaped like our microphones. Hint, hint, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, right? But they were really great party favors. So she does all kinds of custom things.
And she also does private parties too. I had a housewarming and I actually ordered a kit and I invited a set of girlfriends over and we made candles as our little girls' night activity.
Yes.
So absolutely hit her up. We'll leave her information at the end of our today's show. But just on the topic of romance,
right?
Absolutely, those are where you want to be.
Yes. She actually made me a special candle too one time. That is a massage candle. I have yet to try it out.
Is it in your bucket?
Like he melts it onto you?
It's like it is a special wax.
It was warm. So what you do is you light the candle, and to get a little bit of the wax to melt down, blow out the candle so it's not piping hot. But when it's cooled down a little bit, you can then actually pour it on you and you can massage it in your skin.
Yeah.
What happened to you?
He is another episode.
You have to listen to season 1, 2, and 3 to find out what happened with this person.
He's the one that wanted a contract. He was into a BDSM lifestyle, and that wasn't for me. And so I was getting introduced. I was getting groomed into his lifestyle with the candle wax, and then there was more. Like it just sort of started real, just to see what you're comfortable with.
Was he rich? Okay, see,
It wasn't like 50 Shades of Grey.
Yeah, exactly. It only works if you're rich. No, I tell them all the time.
No, I mean, he
got hit me broke.
I think he was doing okay. To be fair, I think he was doing okay for himself because he did have his own business and he was sustaining off of his own business, no other work, right? So he was doing well enough.
Okay.
But it wasn't for me. You know how when you just sort of know,
Yeah.
I knew I didn't want that.
Yeah.
After we had some in-depth conversation.
So
But the wax part, I actually that was absolutely PG. That was what it was a
it
massage.
sounds enjoyable.
Yeah, it was a massage, so I was fine with that.
I want to try my wax candle out on somebody someday. One day, someone will make me some German chocolate cake
And pour some wax.
and then we'll have a 72-hour conversation and followed by wax.
There you go.
Yeah, all of that.
There you go.
But on the topic of all that, like, how do you guys? We talked about how you guys maintain the romance, but how do you have a healthy sex life with kids in home? Like,
Do you guys lock your door and they know what's going on because the door's locked?
have you been walked in on? Like,
Have you?
I don't think walked in on,
Oh.
but
good job.
our oldest one went through a period of time where she was like always trying to like,
Catch you?
yeah, and like
What are you
interrupt
doing?
and like stop it before it got started. He doesn't care. He's like, this is my house. He's like, he doesn't care. Not only is like, they're not asleep yet. I told you he goes to bed very early.
Oh, right.
And so he's in bed and I'm like, the kids aren't even asleep yet. You sleep before the kids sleep.
Oh, God.
So we do have to pick our moments, and then like, you know, got the hotel room, times like that,
right.
where you pack a whole bunch in.
Pun intended.
All I hear is the bed hitting the side, and the people that are calling the office down front. Yeah, there's a party going
They're
on.
really packing it in over there.
in the room next door to me.
That hotel's brand new. Everything was really sturdy, I would like to say. So shout out to Illinois.
Hey.
I would say patience.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of patience.
Yeah.
Especially now since the kids are young and active, and the house is loud. So I imagine as they get older, things will change. Now, it's just the reality of our lifestyle. There's an opportunity.
Do you guys find that when one person's on, one person's like, you guys got to really like
Always
schedule?
on.
Let's
He's a man. So.
let's keep it back. Like always on. Always.
You ready to start?
Has never had a moment of off.
You ready to go now?
Has never had a moment of
How
off
about
in
now?
all his days.
How about now?
Yeah.
I'm going. I'm gonna come back and then when I try to get.
The kids are at
He
7-Eleven.
be acting like the most unsexy things are sexy. It's not.
Okay.
It's not.
Like what? I had an example, like a moo.
I can be wearing anything, and he'll have these pictures in his phone, but look at you. I'm like,
First of all,
How
the
dare
fact
her.
that he's taking pictures because he admires you regardless of how you think.
while I was bending over picking something up, and you can
That's
see
all it sounded like.
Hey.
Bending over is all he needed.
they're just like, I'm like, this is not a flattering picture.
You ain't catch my good sight.
Right. And he was like, yeah, it is. Look at that. Like, but I will say it's definitely helpful to know that you are so unconditionally loved and you know, and found attractive. But I do have to be like, chill. Yeah. Chill, like the kids, chill. We have to find our moments. And we know that it's not permanent,
Right.
you know.
Right.
But that's why, you know, when we go on trips, we go to town. We went to Cancun last year. And our ultimate goal is to take a couple of those trips each year, just the two of us. Get away.
So you guys plan for family trips each year and then your own individual trips.
That is the goal. It don't always happen that way. Every year ain't an up year, you know?
Yeah, that's very true. That is so true. What do you guys feel about like the traditional gender roles or the gender roles within the marriage? Do you guys have those, or you guys kind of just do whatever?
Technically, we kind of do to
Okay.
a certain degree. We didn't agree to that going into marriage prior. The woman, this is what you're going to do.
Right.
Split up the task.
Okay.
And also, we're not married to our current defined roles. So we'll fill the gaps. Individuals having a tough time or a tough week, the other partner is able to recognize it and just fill the gaps.
Yeah. There are some gaps that don't get filled. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's some things like he always takes out the trash. I don't ever take out the trash. But like I said, he does the dishes, and some people would say that's a woman's job. I do most of the cooking.
I see your little whiteboard that you have.
Oh, we're trying to.
I want to be like. I want to be like. I even bought a whiteboard, and I was like, I'm gonna be like. Literally, it was like I'm gonna be like Mori, and it got drawn.
And I don't live in town too, like, but I want to like come get meatloaf on those meatloaf days. And then there's leftover days. I'm like, well, I'm coming back for that meatloaf.
I want to point out though, I could tell when she was having a bad week and the kids pissed her off
Because
she
they
was
didn't get
like,
another pizza.
You're on your own. On your own.
So
I was hollering. I was like, oh, they done made her mad.
Well,
Someone
the kids
did.
complained a couple too many times. But I've done a few things with them. I put them on plain food one time.
What is
Like,
nuts and pretzels?
You're eating oatmeal with no brown sugar. You're eating rice and beans with plain.
I thought you meant like dehydrated food that got water and microwave.
airplane food.
That's what I was thinking. I was like, okay, so they're
No,
just
just no
getting
flavor.
almonds.
Caucasian food.
Yeah.
And seasoned.
Well, you're just gonna. You know what? When they get real food again, they realize, oh, I'm actually a good cook, and you're gonna stop complaining, and you're gonna realize that you have a good life. Okay.
Well, what happened is when we first got married, she'd make dinner, and then she offered an alternative option.
Oh, they got used to that.
When they were really little, though.
For me, I was like,
They made picky eaters, huh?
it's-
You right? So I'm from the same school. And
I'm from the school.
What
you
we
gonna
made.
eat
What we
whatever's
made.
presented,
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
and you're gonna finish all of it.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, see, parents like I won't say all parents, but I know some parents that are absolutely like, oh, my child won't eat that, and so they're making multiple meals in one night, and they come to stay with me, and I'm like, no, your child's gonna eat what I made, because
Right.
I'm not catering to a special dietary need when you're 11. and you're allergic to nothing.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a preferred dietary.
Right.
I was telling my kids at some point, your mom's gonna stop being Wolfgang Puck in the kitchen.
Wolfgang, gang, gang.
Gang, gang.
Stick to one meal, and you guys are gonna be grateful for it. And so we had to have this moment eventually, where this is what you're getting. It's not flavorful. It's nutritious. You're gonna eat it and like
Not
it.
delicious.
Exactly. But I feel like we've landed somewhere in the middle now. Like, I
Okay.
cook dinner. It's the only dinner option they have.
Mhm.
You can always have fruit, whatever.
Right.
You're never required to eat anything, because I don't believe in forcing food in people's mouths. I think that's
That's
weird.
how we got fat.
Yeah, and it's weird. It's a weird thing in general. Imagine as an adult somebody telling you, eat it. Like, you have to. So we have very few of those moments, but I do say, like, you have to sit in front of it for 15 minutes.
Oh, okay.
Because, kids will just want to get back to what they're doing.
Right.
They'll be like, I don't want to eat this, and then so they can go play.
Then it's
The issue is I'm not hungry. I don't want to eat this. But then
one dessert.
2 hours.
Oh,
later,
kitchen closed.
Mom, can I have some chips?
Kitchen closed.
Can I have right? So I'm like, oh, you're hungry now? Well, you can still have
Your plate's still there.
It's still there. Go ahead. Oh, I don't want that. Well, then I guess you're not that hungry. Good night.
Yep, all of that. So the
Yeah.
food will sit there. The kitchen closes at 7. Our kids go to bed at 8:30.
Okay.
So it's not like, there's a
Right.
huge amount of time they're up. But yeah. And so some of those things also, like, that's a marriage thing, right? Where he's a lot more strict than I am. And I'm like, let's think about why you're saying no. Like, are you just saying no?
Very Oregonian of you.
Yeah, like, are you just saying no to say no? But I also had my mom said yes to everything.
Oh.
My mom was like, if there's no reason to say no, why would I say no? And so I come from, a yes,
Opposite.
Gotcha.
a yes household. And
And still to this day, our mom would be in the house and we'll say no. And she'd be like, well, why not? Reasoning and arguing with the kids.
They said if mom says no and dad says no, ask grandma.
go to yay.
Oh, is that what they call her?
Yeah.
Oh, that's so cute.
My mom used to bounce our oldest and say, yay, 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 yay. So we start driving towards the house. She'd be like, yay, yay.
That is great. I love it. What would you have liked to have known as the younger version of you, knowing what you know now?
Maybe just the confidence to know that that we're doing it right and we're gonna be good. Like, this will sound terrible, and I'm okay with that. But like, we know that we have a better marriage than a lot of people. You know what
This
I
is
mean?
facts. This is what you're here.
That's why you were selected.
So, like, not to be like, oh, we're better than, but like, we are able to remind ourselves, like, we have something really good that's worth being grateful for, that's worth taking care of. And so just the confidence to know that in the beginning, I think that first year of marriage is difficult for a lot of people. We never lived together before we were married. Neither one of us had ever lived with a partner before we were married. So there's a lot of adjusting that first year. But so just the confidence to know that you're going to make it, you're going to be great, you're going to be fine. And that the kids will be fine. And the kids will, my daughter, my 13-year-old said, Mom, she was on the phone with her best friend. And her best friend's parents were in the background. The mom got on the dad about not completing a task. And the dad told the mom to shut the F up. Oh, no. And she was like, she wasn't even crying like her best friend. She's like, she wasn't even crying. Like, she was like, I felt like I should hang up. I feel like I need to get out of there. And like realizing like, that's how some people's households just are, and understanding that you live in a really peaceful house. You never hear us yell at each other. You never hear us cuss at each other. You don't, and because we don't.
Right.
And so just to know, like, it's going to be all right.
What about you, Steve?
I would say that specifically when it comes to trial and tribulations, that displays the character of your partner, and you chose a good partner. Because it's not until crisis hits that you understand how a person responds, reacts, what their faith is literally in their own personal relationship with God. And then attached to that, how it affects you as a result. And so we went through some significantly tough times, but her character
We was broke in that beginning.
Build character though. That
I love it. And I guess lastly, what advice would you give to somebody?
I give this advice to young women whenever I have the opportunity to, and they're going through the dating process. And it sounds intense, but I swear by it.
listening very intently right now.
Right. Taking mental notes.
Right. If he yells at you, he will cuss at you. If he will cuss at you, he will call you out of your name. If he will call you out of your name, he will push you. If he will push you, he will choke you. If he will choke you, he will punch you. If he will punch you, he will kill you. Stop it in the beginning.
Mm.
You know what I mean? There's no rule that you have to accept any level of abuse from any level of mistreatment. And there's no excuses. There's no, well, I made him, whatever. It's so easy and it's a real thing. You can have a real partner that really loves you, that you have disagreements with, and still never yells at you, never cusses you out, never, you know what I mean? Never puts all that on you. And so that's always my advice to, especially young women, to pick that up early, that you set the bar real high.
Mm-hmm.
You know, not just, oh, he can't hit me. No, start at the beginning.
Yeah, don't talk to me like that.
Right.
You're not going to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, and it's over.
Right. I love that. Steve, what advice would you give to somebody, maybe the young men?
I told this specifically to two young men I was attached to prior to them getting married, because they sought me out. And I told them, prior to making that step, you need to make sure that you're sure. You need to 100% unequivocally be all in. You can't be half in, you can't be half out. Because marriage requires you, especially as the leader, to be in every day and then make that decision consistently every day, and probably multiple times a day. And so you need to, without a doubt, choose this individual and then continue to choose them. And that's a decision. And you have that ability, you have that power, you have that capacity. But too many men are half in, half out.
Really true.
And my mama said, marry a man that loves you more than you love him.
She does say that. I remember those words from. Okay, sorry, I just.
We're over here all like, we want that. And, you know, she's rocking. Y'all,
I'm
Nikki's over here.
self-soothing myself.
Like, this is beautiful. Well, where can they find you guys if they're interested, have questions? Maybe you said people seek you out for advice, so I like that.
I think it's just relationally. We actually were talking on the way here, and I was like, we should have created something. We've talked for years about doing like marriage retreats and stuff like that.
Mhm.
So, possible.
Okay.
We'll let you guys know so you guys can share with them.
And do you want to share your social media, or are you private?
I'm fine with sharing
His
social media.
his Instagram is crowned one with a K, 03. Mine is Miss Mori 46. Both of those are our Instagram tags. You can find us there. And both of us are really open people. We talked about that before we got married, that we would be open to sharing our experiences and our stories to help and support other folks. So I'm an open book. I'll tell you. So if you call, I'm gonna tell you. I'm like, girl, look.
Okay.
And Nick B, where they can find you?
Yes, I can be reached on all platforms. Dirty Roses Podcast. May that be our Instagram, our Facebook, our Twitter, our TikTok. And if you need to reach me directly, I can be found on Instagram at NickB_Nick B. That's Nick with a K. And Miss LaRie, where can we find you?
You can send all German chocolate cakes to LaRie on every single social media platform. It's LeighlaRie. Dirty Roses Podcast on all social media platforms. And of course, dirtyrosespodcast.com, where you can check us out. We can leave us a voicemail, give us feedback, give us some suggestions, join our mailing list, and
Ask for product placement.
And ask for product placement, because we're going to put you on like sent to be candles here. But until then,
Next
see
time.
y'all next time. Bye.
Bye.
Guess what, Rose Buddies? We are thrilled to introduce our new sponsorship packages. Be sure to hit us up at dirtyrosespodcast.com to inquire how we can showcase your brand on our platforms.